Il cardinale Peter Turkson del Ghana, presidente del Pontificio Consiglio della Giustizia e della Pace, ha fatto proiettare al Sinodo dei Vescovi un video di 7 minuti intitolato Muslim Demographics. È un video diffuso da tempo su YouTube che mostra in maniera realistica quella che è l'espansione demografica dei popoli musulmani in Occidente. L'iniziativa del cardinale Turkson ha scatenato però una serie di proteste tra i mass media e anche tra alcuni padri sinodali come il cardinale Roy, arcivescovo di Parigi, il quale avrebbe detto: questa è una visione manichea che non è la nostra, non possiamo fare una crociata anti-islamica. Il cardinale Turkson è stato costretto a scusarsi. Non intendevo deludere, spaventare o danneggiare nessuno, non si trattava di chiamare i cristiani alle armi, ha detto il porporato ghanese. Noi vi vogliamo mostrare questo video e diciamo: no, non si tratta di chiamare i cristiani alle armi, si tratta di invitare tutti i cristiani, a cominciare dai padri sinodali, a non chiudere gli occhi davanti alla realtà, che ci piaccia o no, è una realtà drammatica, perché l'Islam avanza, e avanza non solo sul piano demografico, ma anche su quello religioso. Le chiese chiudono o passano di mano, le moschee aumentano in maniera vertiginosa e l'Islam ambisce a diventare la prima religione d'Europa. Perché i pastori della Chiesa non vogliono sentir parlare di questa tragica situazione? Di che cosa hanno paura? L'Islam non è una minaccia per la fede cristiana? Si ha paura della lotta contro l'Islam perché questa può portare al martirio? Ma non è il Papa che ci invita a testimoniare la nostra fede fino al martirio? E quale occasione migliore del Sinodo dei Vescovi nell'anno della fede per alzare la bandiera della verità cattolica contro le false religioni come l'Islam? Chi ha fede non si spaventa davanti a un video come quello che vi mostriamo, un video che presenta una espansione dell'Islam in Occidente apparentemente inarrestabile. Ma le parole dell'angelo a Maria risuonano nel cuore di chi ha fede. Tutto è possibile davanti a Dio. E chi sceglie di combattere sa che è possibile, con l'aiuto di Dio, fare dell'Occidente di domani non la terra di Allah, ma una nuova civiltà cristiana fedele al messaggio di Cristo. La Chiesa non ha paura di nulla. È in questo spirito che vi invitiamo a guardare e a diffondere il video del cardinale Turkson.
According to research, in order for a culture to maintain itself for more than 25 years, there must be a fertility rate of 2.11 children per family. With anything less, the culture will decline. Historically, no culture has ever reversed a 1.9 fertility rate. A rate of 1.3, impossible to reverse, because it would take 80 to 100 years to correct itself, and there is no economic model that can sustain a culture during that time. In other words, if two sets of parents each have one child, there are half as many children as parents. If those children have one child, then there are 1/4 as many grandchildren as grandparents. If only 1 million babies are born in 2006, it's hard to have 2 million adults enter the workforce in 2026. As the population shrinks, so does the culture. As of 2007, the fertility rate in France was 1.8, England 1.6, Greece 1.3, Germany, 1.3. Italy, 1.2. Spain, 1.1. Across the entire European Union of 31 countries, the fertility is a mere 1.38. Historical research tells us these numbers are impossible to reverse. In a matter of years, Europe as we know it will cease to exist. Yet the population of Europe is not declining. Why? Immigration. Islamic immigration. Of all population growth in Europe since 1990, 90% has been Islamic immigration. France, 1.8 children per family. Muslims, 8.1. In southern France, traditionally one of the most populated church regions in the world, there are now more mosques than churches. 30% of children ages 20 and younger are Islamic. In the larger cities such as Nice, Marseille, and Paris, that number has grown to 45%. By 2027, 1 in 5 Frenchmen will be Muslim. In just 39 years, France will be an Islamic republic. In the last 30 years, the Muslim population of Great Britain rose from 82,000 to 2.5 million, a 30-fold increase. There are over 1,000 mosques, many of them former churches. In the Netherlands, 50% of all newborns are Muslim, and in only 15 years, half of the population of the Netherlands will be Muslim. In Russia, there are over 23 million Muslims. That's 1 out of 5 Russians. 40% of the entire Russian army will be Islamic in just a few short years. Currently in Belgium, 25% of the population and 50% of all newborns are Muslim. The government of Belgium has stated 1/3 of all European children will be born to Muslim families by 2025, just 17 years away. The German government, the first to talk about this publicly, recently released a statement saying, "The fall in the German population can no longer be stopped. Its downward spiral is no longer reversible. It will be a Muslim state by the year 2050. Muammar al-Gaddafi of Libya said, "There are signs that Allah will grant victory to Islam in Europe, without swords, without guns, without conquest. We don't need terrorists. We don't need homicide bombers. The 50+ million Muslims in Europe will turn it into a Muslim continent within a few decades." There are currently 52 million Muslims in Europe. The German government said that number is expected to double in the next 20 years to 104 million. Closer to home, the numbers tell a similar story. Right now, Canada's fertility rate is 1.6, nearly a full point below what is required to sustain a culture. And Islam is now the fastest growing religion. Between 2001 and 2006, Canada's population increased by 1.6 million, 1.2 of those immigration. In the United States, the current fertility rate of American citizens is 1.6. With the influx of the Latino nations, the rate increases to 2.11, the bare minimum required to sustain a culture. In 1970, there were 100,000 Muslims in America. Today, there are over 9 million. The world is changing. It's time to wake up. 3 years ago, a meeting of 24 Islamic organizations was held in Chicago. The transcripts of that meeting showed in detail their plans to evangelize America through journalism, politics, education, and more. They said, "We must prepare ourselves for the reality that in 30 years, there will be 50 million Muslims living in America. The world that we live in is not the world in which our children and grandchildren will live. The Catholic Church recently reported that Islam has just surpassed their membership numbers. Some studies show that at Islam's current rate of growth, in 5 to 7 years, it will be the dominant religion of the world. As believers, we call upon you to join the effort to share the gospel message with the changing world. This is a call to action.